And welcome back to the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's road course series for 2026, where we are getting to the pointy end of the championship. And tonight we could be crowning our champion for this year's championship. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Ramiro on the cameras of this RaceSpotTV production as we bring you the Area 81 Grand Prix here from Sonoma Raceway. It's been a dominant season so far from Marcus Byfeldt, even though Henrik Lindorff gave him some really good run for his money in the first couple of rounds of the season. In the end, he sits 59 points back with 4 races to go. We do have a couple of drop rounds, which basically means tonight we need to see Henrik Lindorff winning both races to really keep his championship hopes alive. Here is where we've been so far throughout the season. We started back in January now at the Nürburgring and then in Virginia. It was a win apiece at both of those races. Therefore, we thought Lindorff was in with a shout of the championship. But ever since then, it has just been absolute domination from Marcus Byfeldt. Since the first race at Laguna Seca, he's won every single race, reverse grid and the normal feature race as well, with getting the pole positions there. It is absolutely remarkable the season Marcus Byfeldt is having, and having won 4 of the last 5 championships, you definitely would be expecting him to wrap up this one. Here is the lead that we were talking about. Of course, it's close in behind with Sundström and Holmer, don't forget, for third position. Lindorff is looking good for second, but third place is still up for grabs. Linus Broström just dropping off a tiny bit throughout the last couple of rounds, unfortunately, and has dropped down into 5th place. We have the 2 Jokkers, Shu and Frisk, equal on points on 361 as well, in 7th and 8th position respectively. But we are into the qualifying session here from Sonoma, the road course variant. We are using pretty much the full length of this. We have the S's section in the back end from turn 12 down to turn 16 as well, so that's good. Nice bit of a technical section for the drivers before going into this final corner at turn 17 to start the lap once more. And Ewan, it looks like it's going to be quite hot out there here in California today. A September date for these drivers for this race, and it's certainly getting towards the tight end of the championship as well.
Yeah, it's getting towards the finish, and as we've said right from the very beginning, Byfeldt is absolute favourite really for this title. He had a bit of a tennis match, I guess, with Henrik Lindorff to begin with in the first 2 rounds, but since then, from Laguna Seca onwards, he's won every single race. The last 4 rounds been taken on the double. Even Brands Hatch last time out, which me and Lewis were saying might be the circuit where finally that run of doubles comes to an end. It wasn't. And once again, he's showing his speed here in qualifying as well. Henrik Lindorff able to go with him, but this has very much been the story of the season. They're a 10th.5 apart in qualifying at the moment. The gap then back to Nürburgring, over 6 tenths. They're head and shoulders above the rest of the field.
They certainly have, and Lindorff has done such a good job. We were expecting Byfeldt to come out swinging to try and get another championship. He's had so many pole positions in a row. It is just absolutely unbelievable, to be honest. This goes back all the way to the beginning of the previous season as well. In the Porsche Cups, he's just enjoyed so much fun there at the top of the standings. But to be honest, it's not easy when you have a competitor like Lindorff who really was pushing for it. Now, the problem with Lindorff is he's always that couple of tenths back in qualifying. So in that first race, if Byfeldt doesn't get overtaken, then he's often good to go win the sprint race. So it comes down to the feature race where Byfeldt, and maybe it's also because of the McLaren, he seems to always go a little bit further and have a shorter stop at the end. So movements though, we've got Sundström and Norgren, they are there in 3rd and 4th place. We've got Rosquist going up into 5th place as well. It's very tight in the back end of that top 10.
Yeah, it is. As I mentioned, from sort of taking the top 2 out, it is very close behind that. I mean, there's only a second covering 3rd to 15th. 13 drivers within a second there, and it's quite a technical racetrack, not the longest in the world, only a minute and a half for these GT3s, but a pretty technical racetrack, this layout, which turns right, turn 4, before you get to the more open turn 4, which used to be used for the NASCAR Cup Series, then through the carousel, and then into the sort of, I'm going to keep calling it a double right-hander. It's sort of a hairpin, really, turn 7. but it's a very, very long hairpin, as it were. Then you get to the S's, which is by far the most entertaining point on this racetrack. Thankfully, we're not using that chicane either on the left-hand side. You can see there, just interrupts the rhythm of this racetrack a little bit and ruins that corner there, turn 10, which is a wonderfully committed turn. No room for error on the outside. The dirt there, and indeed the wall not long after. So it's an entertaining corner as well. Sundström comes up towards the line, looking to assist his teammate really in winning the team's championship. Heifeld puts himself further in front of the rest. Can Sundström join him? Well, no. He goes quicker though as well, as does Lindhoff. All three of the top three improving, but they're all staying in the same positions.
Yeah, certainly. It is a mega job there to be 4/10 of advantage for Heifeld at the front in such a close qualifying session. But here's Gabriel Norberg. He needs to get, a quarter of a second to get up to the next car of Sundström. And what is it going to be for him? It is going to be third place. Look at that, 6,000ths of a second. He's just got into third position there. Just one ahead of Sundström, who's looking good for third place in the championship as it stands. Here's Rosqvist in the 2:11 machine coming towards the end. There is enough time to finish this lap, but when you get to zero, that is it. So you basically need to have already started your final lap. Norberg has already gone into pit lane, but still a few more drivers trying to set a final lap.
You should be able to squeeze it in here, and as we've been mentioning, doesn't take much of an improvement in the midfield here to get up some positions. Rosqvist though does need about 0.3 of a second to get ahead of Sundström here, as he bounces over that curb a little bit through turn 8 and then into the S's proper. A little bit of a lift off through this left-hander, even more so through the right as you're balancing the car over the top of the crest of the hill there. Then the flat-out left-hander in towards the wonderfully committed, just down a gear, maybe, just certainly a lift off towards the right-hander, that penultimate turn, getting very close to the pit wall there. That's not advisable, and he's trying to open it out as much as possible to get that run to the end. He might have scraped the wall there. He might not have improved anyway, but that might be it for him. Sundström himself moves up to third place, so catching him's going to be even more of an ask. Bohlin up to fourth. Rosqvist stays where he is, I suspect, and indeed he's falling down the field. I suspect that tap on the wall might have been it, although he may not have been improving anyway.
Yeah, that was good from Bohlin. He's only done 2 rounds so far this season, so way down in the championship, 42nd position, but definitely a fast driver and showing that one there. Very, very interesting. What we're going to get today at Sonoma, the penultimate round of the season and the penultimate time for drivers to get some points in. We do have a couple of drop races that will come into effect. We've already had one in terms of the standings, but let's find out what, if any, of the drivers are going to have their final drop round tonight. Heifeld and Lindhoff are on that front row, but almost half a second advantage at the end. Sundström, Bohlin, Norberg, and Alterwill, the top 6. Then it's going to be Rosqvist, Crook, Backman, Shu, Giros, and Marcus Hagman, the top 6 rows. You'll see the time splits opening up quite a bit as we go further and further down the grid. There's going to be Linus Broström, 5th position in the championship. He's got some work to do. Svensson, Forsberg, Urberg, Dan, Holmer, and Olsen as well. Holmer, 4th position in the championship. Vilikovsky in 19th. Then we have Gunnarsson, Carlson, Gran, Kinnell, and Frisk, the top 24 for today. Then it's Schott, Ulrichsen, Tier, Bredesen, Motin, and Dahlstrand, the top 30. As ever, a fully loaded grid with Loden, Broström, Wallingston, and Ullman at the back. All drivers setting laps, actually. We don't always get that. Of course, drivers at the back quite a few seconds off, probably not getting their best laps in. And look at this, Ewan. The S's section, the big talking point, is definitely an intriguing circuit here at Sonoma. It's a bit weird compared to some other proper road course Grand Prix circuits that we go to, but I guess that always adds a twist in the tail.
It is a little bit of a weird circuit, really, but, you know, it's only been like this since 2001, since the effectively there was a dirt bank in front of turn 4 where we do turn right on this layout that was knocked over effectively to allow for a shorter layout. But as you say, a little bit of a strange place. It's a jack of all trades, really. Lots of twisty corners, high-speed sections. There's also a drag strip here. It's where the front straight is at, but not too many drivers, I wouldn't imagine, have done millions of laps around here like we may have seen at some other circuits earlier this season, and like we may see in 2 weeks' time, Suzuka. You know, we've had some iconic circuits on this schedule, Monza and Nürburgring, and Interlagos, so on. This isn't one of them, I would say. So there may be more errors than normal. There may be a little bit of unfamiliarity for the whole field, really, taking part in tonight's event.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird one indeed, and that's why it's the Area 81 Grand Prix, the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's road course series, where if we see Marcus Byfeld basically getting at least a 2nd and an 8th place finish, he will be your champion here tonight. He's looking good on that pole position, where he's been so many times since the start of the previous season. But Lindhoff is trying his best to allow the championship at least to go to that final round at Suzuka. But here we are at Sonoma through the hairpin. We'll get the run up the hill, and then the penultimate round of the championship will be underway. Of course, we've got Sundström right behind Byfeld as well, pushing his teammate. Let's see how this one goes. It's a long run to get to the green flag, and there we go for Marcus Byfeld. Gets us underway. A big jump ahead of Henrik Lindhoff. Sundström's going down 3rd position. It's side by side a little bit further back from Norberg. Porsche on the inside is a little bit blocked off actually, but Oliver Bohlin there. Might be a bit of contact around the outside. It's going to be for Norberg, but that will put him on the outside for T4.
There was trouble through turn 1 there as well. It's a really difficult long left-hander leading up towards turn 2 and the first braking zone on this lap, and before they even got to the brakes, some of the drivers further back had ended up in the wall. Only a few of them, although we do already have meatballs down there. Lucas Olsen has had to tow back to pit lane, and Nicholas Gran has already had to tow back as well. Kinnell and Carlson are both dropping down the field as well through this opening sector, and Carlson's got a meatball flag as well.
There's bits of carnage at the back. It's a very narrow circuit in general, but especially that opening section with the walls and everything, it is a very tough one to have a first lap around here. We've seen Auto lose place with Rosquist, big send down the inside there in towards T7. Let's see this. This is Lucas Olsen just gets tagged. Is that Gunnarsson maybe? Because I saw Gunnarsson dropping down. One sim race speeding cars, I think, Gunnarsson was there. Let's see this from Carlson. His teammate is up ahead, but it's not him. It's someone else in the background. A big bit of contact, and that definitely is why they're there. I think it's Gran actually was that Porsche making contact.
Either him or Thomas Kinnell. It's Thomas Kinnell who was also dropping down at that time. He comes steaming in there, doesn't he? He wasn't really ever going to make turn 3A there, and goes spearing into the side of Carlson. Bjorn Broström gets caught up in the aftermath as he's forced to slow down. No, and he doesn't slow down enough. He hits the Ferrari, which promptly escapes, but he would have been wishing he could have done that a second or so earlier over the top of the hill. As you say, it's a narrow circuit anyway, but the first sector here is the most perilous of the three.
Yes, it certainly is. There's so much elevation change at this circuit. It's quite remarkable. They definitely do know what a hill is here around Sonoma. Over a second is the lead from Marcus Byfeld to Henrik Lindhoff. Let's see another one though. It's Marcus Stiller in the Ferrari. Of course, he did do a first challenge this time. He slows down for the green Porsche there. It might be Olsen who's just having a bit of an issue. Then just got tagged in the back. That is a shame for a driver who is definitely faster than he should be, as Hagman there goes for a spin on the exit of T6.
Yeah, looks like an innocent spin actually. It might have even avoided hitting the wall down there at the inside of the carousel. This is the... Well, I say he might have avoided contact. No, he did go on his own. He was on a tighter line, admittedly, and he just grabbed the wall slightly on the front end there. But yeah, that was an innocent spin, really, coming out of the carousel. And again, dropping positions all the way down. But as I say, Marcus Stiller just not having the look this season. Always does the last first challenge, and normally does very well despite that. But 31st in points so far this season. Just had a bit of a disaster, and every week it feels like we're saying he's having bad luck again.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens though when you put yourself in the mix, and this is why those drivers, especially in the top 10, we often see similar drivers in the top 10 being similar drivers that we're seeing in the fight for the championship, because if you start at the back all the time, you're never going to get through cleanly, you're going to get involved in accidents, but then it's going to take you so much time that you're never really going to win the race. So I guess Stiller does it for a bit of fun, but certainly a tough one when you are coming from the back in a 30-plus car field. We still have 4 drivers down pit road. Nicholas Gran, Robert Carlson, Lucas Olsen, and Bjorn Broström.
Yeah, indeed. And don't forget, this first race is very short, really, so you haven't got much time to work your way through the field, and not much time to be wasted here. As they fight for 8th place, Yokushu holding on ahead of Christopher Crook there, I believe. Then Andres Bachmann and Christopher Giros, the other two Mustangs, queuing up behind. But this is for 8th position. You've got to get on with it quickly in this first of the 2 races in the day. Try and find a way through, because this track is not overflowing with overtaking chances.
Oh, it's a tough one. It really is a pressure cooker of a circuit. There isn't really a long straight. I mean, between turn 10 and 11, which is pretty much the final corner, it's not really a straight. The front stretch is anything but straight. It's literally 180 degrees. You eventually turn left between turn 11 and turn 2. It's a full U shape, even though it doesn't look like it. And out of T6 up to T7, when you're sort of on the drag strip, again, it's not really the longest straight in the world. So, in the background, that was Linus Broström of the Polski Logistics. Was there contact, or was that just him spinning up the wheels? It's cost him a lot of places, about 8 positions.
It has cost him quite a few positions, but I think this was on his own, even though there is a Mustang in there. The Mustang, oh, no, I am wrong, I think. I think based on that replay, there may have been contact. It's Dan Holmer, who, is it? Does Dan Holmer's car look like that? Or have I got that? No, I don't think so, actually. I think the driver who's spinning around has actually slowed down. It's somebody else.
Yeah, I think it was Giros, the nearly on-pace Mustang. It was either him or Crook, the two teammates. But Giros is in P11, which is where Broström used to be, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was him. But we are riding on board with Crook in 9th position, trying to chase down Yokushu, who is worked his way into 8th position since the start of this race. He was actually got Frisk. Remember, they were side by side. Frisk is down 17th place. He's really dropped down from the driver that he started side by side with on that front row. A lot of Mustangs out there this season, and this is another one. Andres Bachmann up inside the top 10 for MHE Racing, and just about holding on. It is the top 15 that get reversed, so it's currently held by Forsberg, but definitely staying inside the top 10. There's a good mixture of points in this race and a good starting place for the second.
Yeah, that will be very useful around here in the second race, being in the top 5, as Garros would be at the moment. And it is going to be quite a fight, though, for those final spots inside the top 15. That's where the big group is, effectively, that Linus Broström now finds himself a part of, headed by Dan Holmer. Well, not really, I suppose. Holmer and Svenska actually getting away a little bit, as that's a look down the inside. Oh, and a big jump over the curves from Christopher Giros. You've got to be so careful with sort of half-committed moves like that, especially into those into that version of the hairpin. Curb on the inside of turn 7 there is so massive. Could have fired him straight into the Mustang and straight into a penalty situation, I would imagine. But you've got to go with conviction in towards turn 7, and you've got to make sure you don't smash that curb either.
Yes, it's a track really where the curbs are actually very important. There are some tracks where you can basically just go over the curbs, do whatever you want. That's a bit of a wiggle for Crook on the exit. Bachmann's going to be all over the back of him around the outside of T12, though that's not ideal, because you do not want to be on the outside T1. Bit of contact between the two. This is actually going to help Giros come through, follow his teammate. Bachmann thought he'd be getting 1 place. He's actually lost another, just avoids the contact. Yes, that is Giros getting through.
Bit of help, unwitting help from his teammate, Christopher Crook. And now they run line astern, 9th and 10th, ahead of Andres Bachmann. It's smart driving, really. You've got to take advantage of errors around here. They shouldn't be too far away because of the difficulty of this circuit. And we're seeing that so far as well. That's, wide, and a flash of the lights there from the Porsche of Joachim Elriksson. Here comes Linus Broström around the outside, looking to regain this 18th position through the carousel, and he's now only 3 places away from the reverse grid.
That would be a big win for the driver, fighting to be in the top 5 in the championship, but one by one needs to get a bit back. It's, as we mentioned, it's a bit of a tough circuit to do that, but you can definitely be quite aggressive around this circuit. You can force your way through there are some opportunities if you want to try and do so. 11 minutes to go, 2.5 seconds is the gap between Byfeld and Lindoff at the front. We're 6 seconds behind for Byfeld's teammate Mikkel Sundström. So that's really 1, 2, 3 in the championship. But then we're missing Dan Holmer, 4th place in the championship. He's down in 12th. Then also Linus Broström, 5th place in the championship. He's down in 18th.
Yeah, that's been made worse in recent times as well. It seems to me that in the past few weeks that these positions, even in the top 5 now, have been really settled in the point standings. As Autowill heads down the inside of Rosquist, that was a very nicely worked move indeed, in towards turn 4. Though Rosquist isn't quite done yet, he's going to be forced to give up before the carousel. He's not going to be allowed down the inside there by Autowill as they come over the crest of the hill. It's a very long way around the outside, so you'll make sure you can avoid it if possible. And Autowill certainly does. But yeah, it's been very settled in the top 5. Really, I think for the last couple of rounds, even though Sundström and Holmer come in today with 8 points apart, I think you can see already that there is a difference between those two in the way that they're driving at this stage in the season. Actually, Sundström's done a very good job, I think, to occupy the best of the rest position, and he's doing that more and more frequently in the last few weeks.
Oh, certainly. And that is how the sort of championship develops, especially in a series like this where we have so many races. Sometimes you have a season that's over maybe 6 weeks, 1 race a night. So you have 6 total races, but of course we have so much more. In this championship, we have 16 total races that you can have that evolution over the season, get a bit better, work your way to the front. It's just so difficult when Byfeld and Lindoff are being so consistent at the front in terms of getting the top positions. But if you can get those positions in behind, especially that is what you need to try and do. So Crook and Gyros, they are staying nose to tail. They still have Yokshu right in front of them. And then, to be honest, if they work somewhat together, they could even get to Rosquist and Autowill, but I think Autowill's going to be too fast for them.
Yeah, definitely Autowill's going to be too far away, maybe even Rosquist as well, because that time's going to tick away very quickly. It's not going to be a quick pass, I wouldn't have thought, over Yokshu, and maybe they're not even going to work together. It would be a bit nonsensical, but you see stranger things happen. So, let's see as they come in towards the final sector now, the braking zone for turn 7. This is the version of this chicane which is the most open, if you like. We go sort of left, that's why there's a bit of a bend in the straight there. You go onto the drag strip very briefly before going left towards the left-hand side, and then you take the sharpest of the hairpins from the short layout as well, which is furthest along through turn 7, so it's very wide open. It means it's a very long way around the outside, around there. But none of them are particularly easy to go through. Even the tightest of the versions, which is very slow speed indeed. Thomas Cadell's not been having a very good race, unfortunately. This time not hitting anybody else, but spinning out of turn number 2. He's down in 30th now.
It seems like a tough track on the power, doesn't it, for these drivers? When they're all just getting the rear end loose. Big hit into the wall as well. That was a decent chunk. He's going to have some repair times from that. He is basically last of the drivers all on the lead lap. Morten Bredesen joins the drivers multiple laps down after some contact earlier at this point. So yes, definitely a tough track out there, isn't it? Let's see this from Canel. Don't tell me this is oh no, is this just, yeah, that's just a replay.
Same one.
I was going to say, don't do it 2 laps in a row, Thomas. Well, that would be a bit silly.
Well, but as you say, it looks like it's very easy to do. It's difficult on the power here. I mean, to be fair, the Porsche is probably the most likely car of the GT3s to do that, but nevertheless, it is still very common compared to the rest of the season, it looks like, so far tonight. And this might not be the hottest temperatures we see as well tonight. We're racing in the sort of late evening in this first race, which makes me think, unless we're going to just continue on and go sort of into the night even for a second race, which I doubt. I think we're going to an earlier session for race 2, if I'm not mistaken, into the next day, if you like, in our racing terms. So if it's in the middle of the day, that could be a lot warmer.
That is very true. I mean, it's solid temperatures out there, obviously being in California. but nothing really to worry about for the drivers just yet. I guess what we've actually seen this a couple of times this season, though, haven't we? That even despite us having the GT3s, where we have obviously all the driving aids like traction control, ABS, etc., drivers try and reduce them as much as possible. They try to have the they try and have the option basically to choose the throttle themselves, have the control of that, but then you risk spinning up if you just overdo it a little bit. Looking at, I was trying to find quickly the weather. It does actually look like it is going to be basically the same temperature in the next race. It is earlier in the day, but it still looks like it's going to be about 21 centigrade, which is what it's going to be by the end of this race.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're not, I think, isn't it September or something in the date? So, so it's not, well, it could be worse, let's put it that way, in terms of the temperature, because in the summer, as you say, down here in California, it gets very, very warm indeed. In fact, you can see a little bit more green in the grass, actually, than what you normally can, indeed, in this time of year. Normally, it's almost sand on the outside of Sonoma, because it is so dry and very, very warm. Here comes Linus Broström on the outside line. He's so close to a top 15 here. Forsberg is holding on, clinging on to that last position. What a great move that is. Broström round the outside and is moving up in the train just in front of Jochen Ulrichsen. Might have even actually just been holding off Ulrichsen, but he needs to do that. He's going to get to this top 15. It's a tall order, 3 positions in 4 minutes.
That just shows you how close this championship actually is. 5th place in the championship, and he's struggling to hold on to P18. So the mid-pack is very, very close, and that's why qualifying is so important. Broström's had a couple of good sessions that has got him up to this place in the championship, but one little mistake like he had earlier, and he could be losing a place, as it looks like Marcus still there down pit road. And look at this from Broström. He's having to hold on. He's down the inside in T6. It's going to be a long, long way for Ulrichsen around the outside, but that might open up the opportunity, actually, to turn the Porsche off the inside for the next corner, but no, way too deep out there. And he's actually going to lose his position now, potentially, on the outside. This is Hocken's shot, the 101 in the Mercedes AMG. But no, he has to back in line for that one.
Yeah. We're queuing up, in fact, the teammates there behind Ulrichsen. That's always the danger around this circuit when you're trying to make moves in a queue like this. You could end up being shuffled to the back of the queue. As Andres Bachmann might have just connected to promote all these guys a position. I didn't see, we just passed him on the leaderboard, and I didn't see him off to the side of the road. So there may have been a disconnection there from Bachmann. So this is all now over 14th position, and that does help Broström a little bit in that he's 2 positions closer, but he's got to catch those guys in front before he can even overtake them.
Yeah, he is closer. The top of that train is being within the reverse grid, and the difference between P15 and P16 is quite remarkable. To be honest, your chances of getting a top 10 in the next race are so much better if you're able to get in that reverse grid. Just 2.5 minutes remain. Top 15 will be reversed, and with a position like this, a situation like this, as I mentioned earlier, Weifeld just needs 2nd and 8th place, when he's already getting a 1st, which means he probably only needs, in that case, like a 13th place finish in the next race to try and get this championship. Crook and Giros, the 2 teammates are side by side for a second. That's not going to help them if they're trying to chase down Yokshu.
Yeah, indeed. I think they'd be a bit better coordinated, but doesn't look like it at the moment. Xu is pulling away and consolidating 8th place rather nicely at the moment with Crook and Giros. So looks like this battle is going to stay the same to the line. Beifeld crossed the line not so long ago to start. 2 laps to go in this race. 3.5 seconds in front of the rest, and once again he is going to win race 1 of an evening. He has yet to fail to win race 1 of an evening so far. Even the rounds that were more keenly contested by Lindhoff at the start of the season at Nürburgring and VIR, he won race 2, the reverse grid race. So that's what are we now, round 8? That's round 7. That's 7 out of 7 for Beifeld, looks like.
We've run out of words basically to save how good Beifeld has been, because especially this season, he's transitioned into the Oval Series, where he's also being quite dominant there. He hasn't won every race, to be fair. He's been a lot more competitive, but we all know how over-racing is a bit more up and down the road course styles things. But still, he's been very dominant over there. But that hasn't taken his, hasn't distracted him away from the road course. In his previous 4 road course championships, he's not done the oval at the same time, so he's only focused on the road course where all the other drivers are ping-ponging. This year he's doing that as well. He's still able to be at the front. It's very remarkable that he's able to put so much time and effort into both of the different championships. 30 seconds remain. Here's the Area 81 Grand Prix. Final lap time in the sprint race. Byfeld from your pole position now leads 4 seconds is the advantage. And we get Crook looking to the inside of Zhu, putting him under pressure. He's got one final opportunity at that coming onto this final lap.
Yeah, he's close in behind as well. So I didn't think he was going to get another chance, in all honesty. The messing around that Crook and Giros were doing, I thought they would stare each other into the abyss, but it looks like Crook's got his act together, and Zhu is going to have a nervy final lap. But where do you make the overtake? That run up towards turn 2 was already bypassed, and Crook was never anywhere close enough to make a move through here. So maybe a half chance down here at turn 4 if the driver in front of you makes an error, but Zhu makes no such error as Bohlin goes to the inside of Norberg. He'd only lightly been applying the pressure during this race. He's managed to get through into 4th place at the very end.
What a last lap move there is. Is there anything that Norberg can do? Because to be honest, T7 and then the final corner T11, they're the only places to go. T7's going to go by, and it looks like Norberg, he trumps the curve a little bit too much, loses a car length, and that is going to be a long shot down in towards T11. But up to the front, Marcus Byfeld, he's got one hand on the trophy, and now he's going to have one finger as well on the other hand as he comes across the line to win the sprint race here for the Area 81 Grand Prix. And all he needs, to be honest, is just to finish next time out in the reverse grid race, and he'll be our champion. Byfeld wins 4 seconds to Henrik Lindhoff. Sundström will be in 3rd place. And then Oliver Bohlin, has he been able to hold on in the final corner? Yes, he has, up to the line. What a final lap move there by Bohlin in 4th place. Norberg rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, indeed. That's a good drive from Bohlin there to get up and past Norberg so late. And it earns him a 4th place finish in the end. Zhu holds off ahead of Christopher Crook as well, by the way, for 8th position. So some good defensive drives all the way through there as well, just coming towards the checkered flag. But some of these time gaps, 30 seconds pretty much covering the top 10. There are some others coming across the line now. Quite a long time after the race winner has crossed the line, but quite a long way, not that long way, sorry, down the field at the end of that race. It just shows you how technical it is. That's after only 20 minutes here at Sonoma. We've got a 45-minute race coming up in a moment.
Marcus Byfeld gets the win and also the fastest lap. And look at that, the top 6, all different manufacturers as well. So it's Byfeld, Lindhoff and Sundström on the podium with Bohlin, Norberg, Altwill, Rosequist, Zhu, and then the 2 Christophers, Gruk and Giros, rounding out the top 10. The final of the drivers who will be reversed is Holmer, Svensson, Filikovsky, Forsberg, and Frisk. So those are your top 15. They will be reversed. Frisk gets the pole, and Johan Oberg just misses out by 4/10 of a second, I should say. Nils Broström in P17, he'll be ruining that mistake that drops him out of reverse grid contention. Schott, Motin, and Tier, the top 20. Then it's going to be Gunnarsson, Oritzson, Hagman, Dahlstrand, Loden, Knell, Magnussen, and Wallenström, the final drivers on the lead lap, with Ullman, Backman, the top 30. Then it's Broström, Stiller, Gran, Bredesen, Carlson, and Olsen at the back. But of course, one race still to go. The reverse grid, 44 minutes plus a lap, and a pit stop coming your way. But while the drivers have a little bit of a break, we will take some messages from our partners. And welcome back to Sonoma. It's the Area 81 Grand Prix. And it's the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series, the penultimate round of the season, with just Suzuka in a couple of weeks to go. Marcus Byfeld has one more finger, let's say, on the championship, as he basically just needs a top 15 finish or so today, which will secure him the title with one round still remaining. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Ramiro on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. We have a few minutes left in warm-up, Ewan, as we get the sights and sounds of the deserts here and the vine fields here in California for Sonoma Raceway. That was an interesting race one in terms of you can overtake, you have to be a little bit pushy. Is this going to hinder the likes of Byfeld and Lindhoff coming back through in the reverse grid situation?
I think we constantly throughout this season have got our hopes up about that, but it's not come to fruition. So I'm going to start to just say no now. On paper, I think this should be a circuit where, even though the top contenders did very well, like Byfeld and Lindhoff in that first race, then they should still find this very challenging. But in the reverse grid races, to us, they just aren't finding it very challenging. We saw it last time out at Brands Hatch. We really spoke about that one being perhaps the most difficult of all of them of the season so far. Laguna Seca was sort of difficult, and so was VIR, but they managed that all right. But we really said 2 weeks ago, Brands Hatch is the one. This is where they will find it difficult, and it just wasn't the case. So I'm going to say they are going to finish 1 and 2. I think Lindhoff has got a better chance here than maybe he did at Monza or Interlagos or some places like that of actually finishing ahead of Byfeld, but that matters very little at this stage in the season because Byfeld needs very few points really to seal the title from here.
Yeah, he certainly does. He could basically finish where he starts, and that will wrap up the title, which is a... Oh, and that's assuming that Lindhoff is going to win the race as well. So if Lindhoff doesn't win the race, then that P13 that I'm predicting will be obviously a lot less, depending on the points reduction that Lindhoff gets. But that is the end of the warm-up session. 44-minute race. We are in the middle of the day, but the temperature is almost exactly the same as what we just saw. So the drivers will be very familiar with the conditions out there on the circuit. We have a pit stop coming your way. So in this championship, we have half fuel tanks. So we'll go about half an hour, maybe 35 minutes on the fuel tank, and then we'll have about a 10 to 15 minute splash of fuel to the end. Here's your grid, though, as the top 15 get reversed. It is Frisk, Forsberg, Filikovsky, Svensson, Holmer, and Giros, the front three roads, with Crook, Shu, Rosvis, Alterwill, Norberg, and Bohlin. Then the final drivers reversed is Sundström, Lindhoff, and Marcus Byfeld there in P15. Let's see how high they could get. And of course, all of the drivers below starting in the same positions that we just saw in the results. I'm actually looking forward to this one, Ewan, because I think it's going to be a bit harder than normal. Of course, we're probably going to see Byfeld get to the lead at some point, because one thing that I still haven't been able to confirm is, can the McLaren go longer on fuel, or is it just Marcus being so efficient?
Well, yeah, it is going to be hard to work that out, but I suspect Byfeld being so efficient does have something to do with it over the course of this season. And just to rub salt into the wound at the moment, Henrik Lindhoff hasn't gridded up here, so he's either going to start from pit lane or not at all, and I'm not sure why at the moment. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have any ban on starting. So, and he's not the only one, by the way. Marcus Hagman, Andres Backman, Morten Bredesen all failed to start. The last two, to be fair, weren't in the session at the end of the last race either, so that might be more understandable. But I wonder if a few guys have been caught off guard by a short gridding period there. And Lindhoff is one of them, but it's a good job the championship isn't really on the line. And it's probably always going to go to Marcus Byfeld anyway, because that's not a good place at all for Lindhoff to be. But yeah, I'm guessing Byfeld is going to be in the lead, and to guess the time that it will take him, I think there will be. I think it will take him 8 minutes. That's my guess.
Let's see what this is going to be. Bold prediction from Ewan O'Leary, but with the championship on the line and Lindhoff not there, it is going to be a race for Marcus Byfeld, almost in early celebration. Let's get this underway though. You've got Chris gets the Area 81 Grand Prix feature race underway here from Sonoma Raceway, and it's really about to second place Forsberg, Filikowski, as we work our way up into turn number 2, the first braking zone of the circuit, and it looks like it is going to be Forsberg who just gets ahead. That's big content behind. Also seeing one of the on the purple cars go outside. Which Christopher is it that's going all the way down the field? That's not an ideal start to this race, and there's some contact not quite up ahead as we just see Giros hold on.
Yeah, it was Christopher Crook in that case who went for a spin. It must have been. Giros is up to the top 5 at least, as Frisk gets off to a very nice start. He's got off to a second's worth of an advantage over the others. Jante Forsberg is next. Then you've got Dan Holmer, who's trying to gain on Forsberg here and get past. Here he goes, looking left and right on the way down the drag strip. Looking to the outside, it will have to be. Coming in towards turn 7. Brakes very late. But it's a very long way round here. There's the second part to this hairpin, but if he keeps his nose in front, then he should be clear by the S's, and Forsberg willing to let him have it. Marcus Byfeld, for his part, by the way, avoided the trouble, and he's up into the top 10, and he avoids Bohlin, who slides coming out the hairpin.
I thought that was going to be Linus Broström, but no, same livery, different car as the teammates, both struggling on the rear end of their BMWs throughout this race so far. Giros is up into 6th place here, trying to chase down Filikowski, but here's what happened to his teammate, Crook. Oh, they tag each other, and that is such a shame. They were together side by side throughout the previous race. And Crook got a hit to the side. Goodison, he's going very slow. It's a bit of carnage. His bumpers flying everywhere. He's trying to take it nicely. Oh, further contact. That is such a shame. That one of the black and white Porsches on the outside. Unfortunately, he got tagged around.
Yeah, indeed. It's just the sort of lap 1 things that happen here at Sonoma, to be honest. And that's dropped them a long way down the field after only 1 lap. But thankfully, of the 34 starters, 2 not starting from who did in the first race, all 34 still in the race at least, despite Sebastian Ohlmann also spinning through turn 10 and ending up in the scariest place in the world. Thankfully, he has not got anybody coming up behind him to come through and clatter him. And so he dropped through to the back of the field in peace, but that is the worst place to be in the whole of California, I'd imagine.
Oh, definitely. That is a tough place on the outside of a blind, fast T10. I know Laguna Seca will have a bit of a run for his money in some of the corners there, but that's certainly not a good place at all. You know, high commitment, fast corner. Definitely don't want to be sat there. Fortunately, no one collected it just yet. Hartman was coming through. Here's Filikowski in the Aston Martin. Thinks about a move down the inside T10, and he's just trying to slow down Forsberg. There has to be a dive into the braking zone. We do have the long hairpin here, so that's an interesting line there from Svensson up ahead. Or a bit of concertina effect. Bumper to bumper they go, but everyone is just about okay. But look at this train of cars.
Linus, meantime, has hit the wall coming out of the carousel as well. Pretty hard on the front left, surprisingly hard actually. And that will have done him some damage, surely, as we ride aboard with Christopher Giros. He's over the top of the hill now, following Lukas Filikowski and Dante Forsberg just in front of us here as well. Forsberg has really been slipping and sliding so far in this race. He started from 2nd. He finished the previous race 14th, but they're queuing up behind him. Look at this. Giros getting past Filikowski, wants to be the first in line to try and get through here. Byfeld gets through, and his teammate Mikael Sundström, and he's very shortly going to be onto these guys as well.
Well, this is a tough battle through T6. You've seen drivers spin out very easily here, but not this time around. It's a real big compression down there, and you lose all of the niceties of the suspension as it's fully compressed. Big send down the inside there for Yokshu, not enough to make the move, and this is going to squeeze out there Marcus Byfeld in exit. T7 is up ahead. Giros, I don't think he meant to go down the inside there, of course. No, Forsberg was completely offline as Filikowski goes up to 4th place.
Thomas Cannell's had trouble out of turn 1 in turn 2 in the first race, now turn 2 in the second race as well. That's almost identical. Oh dear, Sebastian Ohlmann is not enjoying turn 10. That's not a replay of a replay. That is him crashing in the same corner again. Doesn't end up in the middle of the road this time, but he does end up losing the same amount of time. Byfeld through on Shu on the inside there, through the final hairpin. He's now stuck on the outside though, through the kink towards the start-finish line, and then towards turn 1 as well, and he's shut out by the Mercedes. He switches back to the inside for turn 1, but he can't go there. Oh, and Shu's lost it. Oh, what a save. I thought he was going to go straight on and clatter into Gyros, and that could have caused all sorts of problems for the queue of drivers behind. He does lose out to Byfeld and maybe Sundstrom as well, but that was a big save through the very high-speed first corner.
Almost 3 wide for a moment. Bohlin thinks about it, but no, it looks like she's just going to be able to hold on. And he does. Sundstrom is blocked out there, as well as Oliver Bohlin. Here's Byfeld, big send into T6. He doesn't need to push his way forward. I think he's got a bit of damage on that front bumper as well. Doesn't look to be slowing him down too much. Contact up ahead. This could be a double move there for Byfeld, as it's going to be Gyros, it's going to be Forsberg. Side by side we go. Gyros is in the middle. Forsberg is having to back out of that one. Byfeld's already gone. That's already one position done. That's P6 around the outside for Shu on Forsberg, who's going backwards, loses 3 places there in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, this is just a massive group, and you just look at the efficiency of the way Marcus Byfeld is getting through it. That's why I made the now what seems to be over-ambitious prediction that he was going to be leading by 8 minutes into the race. That's not going to happen, but he is going to be leading well before the finish here, and it's just because he's so efficient at coming through traffic. Look at the people he's left behind who he was with in the first race. Yes, we don't have Lindhoff to mark him against, but we do have Mikael Sundstrom, who was trying to go around the outside of Forsberg there, couldn't do it. Bohlin was ahead of Byfeld briefly before Byfeld picked him off very, very quickly here. Now he's side by side with Oliver Rosequist, who benefited from the reverse grid and moved up sort of to the midfield here of this top 15. So the inefficiency, or I guess it's the efficiency of Byfeld rather than the inefficiency of these guys. This is what it's supposed to look like, as it were. Bohlin and Sundstrom having to fight really hard to get through on these guys who finish in the top 15 regularly in this series, because it is hard for normal people to make overtakes round here, working your way through the traffic. But Byfeld is just unbelievably efficient at getting through groups like this.
I guess when you have that extra half a second, even a second advantage on some of the drivers up here, that just equates to so much, track position that you can gain in certain parts of the lap where others are forcing it. Forsberg is having a terrible time of it. He's dropping outside the top 10 here. Really not able to keep the positions that he would have wanted, as it looks like, I think it's Rosequist now going around the outside. Yes, Ullman just behind him in the 45 Porsche as well. So yeah, Forsberg not being able to keep his reverse grid position. Let's see what Wallingston has done. Big dive down the inside from Gunnarsson, and that, so the 33 on the 3, and that's a big hit into the wall. That's definitely going to be some time down pit lane. No rear wing on that car.
Yeah, he scraped it off on the tyre wall there as well, so that's definitely going to be a trip down pit lane. Bjorn Broström. Oh, that's a hard hit as well. There's some awkwardly angled tyre barriers around here. It's such an odd place. There's some tyre barriers protecting stuff in all sorts of places, and that was a pretty hard hit there through turn 1. Klaas Loden goes straight on and towards the dirt on the outside there through turn 4, just too fast on the way in there. Was never going to get it turned in time, really. As he reverses and gets back going again. Oh no, this is take 3, isn't it? Incident number 3. Version number 3, as it were. Sebastian Oman into the wall. That looked like very much like the first one, and he hasn't come in to repair his car, by the way. He really should think about doing that.
And in live pictures, Dan Holmer's got the lead, and this is going to help his championship so much. So far this season, we've only had either Byfeld or Lindhoff winning a race, but it's Lindhoff's teammate Dan Holmer now who is coming for this one. Frisk going wide in T6. I wondered how he went over a second behind so quickly, but yeah, it was him going wide. He had a good lead at the front there, but what this has meant is that Byfeld now is 3 seconds closer to the lead than he was a lap or so ago, as there's Armin just getting out of the way, as he's already going a lap down, as we're almost 10 minutes into this race.
Yeah, approaching on that now, and almost got a decent chance of holding on to something here. I mean, I would say on a normal day that this is then going to be about the team's championship, because that has been close throughout the season, but just in the last few weeks, nearly on pace, have gradually pulled away from Simrace Sweden Esports in that regard as well. 55.3 points the difference between those two teams, and with Lindhoff not even partaking in this last race, don't know what's happened to him between the two races, but he's not in this server at all as far as I can see. Didn't even start from the pit lane. That's going to make life very difficult for Simrace Sweden, so on pace, just consolidating really now. Not only the Drivers' Championship with Bijveld, which we knew was being consolidated for some time, but also the Teams' Championship that Mikael Sundström has put so much towards as well.
Yeah, that's very true. We don't always talk about it, but the Teams' Championship, very important for these drivers, because as much as you want to have your own result, you want your team to be up there at the front, and some of these teams have 3-4 drivers. There's a lot of effort going in. What is quite interesting though is that some teams have different chassis throughout the different drivers, but it is fixed setup. So I guess you would see practice in the same manner. But here comes Bijveld. There's been a terrible run by Filipovski through the S's there, and a big momentum shift. Does even defend that one, to be honest. He knew Bijveld was going to be sliding down the inside, so at least make it a bit easier. Bijveld now 3.5 seconds off the lead in P4. It's not the 8 minutes that you said, Ewan, but might be about 15. Now this is a mess here coming through T7. Håkon Schei's a dive down the inside from Norberg, and that gets a tag in the rear corner. So the 101 goes around. He has to wait up for the next drivers. That's a terrible place. He's going to lose quite a bit of time from that.
Well, certainly will. And it's what happens in these big groups really around here. Eventually it all comes to a head at some point. It's a busy racetrack considering the amount of drivers we've got in the field. We do have some long stops happening now, but 32 drivers are still in this race right now. It's not a very long racetrack. It's on average a car every 3 seconds. That makes it sound like everyone's got a lot of space, but they're not spaced out evenly, obviously. And that means there's some very big groups around the place. But stuff like that happens in as they're going seemingly wider and wider and wider through turn 7. That white line doesn't really seem to mean anything as they come through here. And here's another group, by the way, just as I'm talking about that. Jock Shoe caught by Mikael Sundström, Oliver Bohlin, Oliver Rosqvist, not too far away there either.
Yeah, white line is there for just a bit of guidance in some corners. That is, yeah, exactly. I agree. I don't know why they don't do much. They do get the tyre barriers here at the final corner, which I always find very interesting, but I guess they could just cut straight over it if they weren't there. In terms of Gabriel Norberg has just been black flagged. That must be because of all of the incident points that he's got after so much contact we've seen in the opening few minutes of this race. That is a that's probably one of the earliest black flags we've seen all season.
Yes, 13 minutes in. Can't think of an earlier one, but this is the kind of place where it might happen. You might get a lot of 4X. Oh dear, Kalle Wallenstam has not got a rear wing and is trying to continue on as if he's got one. Bounds across the dirt on the inside there, very bumpy ride. It's very steeply uphill there as well, thankfully, which slowed him down instead of ending him up back on the racetrack again as it double backs on itself there through turn 2. As there's a teammate job happening here, Svensson and Bijveld exchanging places. That is not his hardest of the overtakes made so far.
Did you see how wide he went there? That was definitely the widest that we've seen. So why are they only just figuring this out though? They've had a whole week of practice. They've had a race and a qualified session, but maybe it is actually an off track and we just can't see it. Because they would still therefore be racking them up. I was just checking, it is 20 is the incident point limit that they get, then the drive-through, and then it's every 10 after that. So that's 5 bits of contact already that Gabriel Norberg had as a minimum, as this is a bit of a send down the inside from Rosqvist on Oliver Bohlin. The 2-1-1 machine doesn't get the run though that he would have wanted on the power, so the BMW goes back ahead as we come up alongside the drag strip. For going left up the hill towards turn 2, but yeah, looks like Bohlin is going to be able to hold on to that one. So good try by Rosqvist, but he does need to because a little bit of a gap is forming up ahead. Sundström over a second.
Yeah, and that's going to go the wrong way very quickly if they fight. It might do anyway. Sundström's very quick, although he's stuck behind Jokshu, and that is close. Coming through the right-hander of turn 5 towards the carousel. It's giving him the outside line, but he's giving it a good go. If you can squeeze the driver on the inside there tightly to the white line on the left-hand side, you've got a great chance. And Yoksu tries to really get the power down early, coming off the carousel to try and maintain the place. It's not happening for him. He catches the slide well, but he does let Sundström go into 7th.
So many drivers losing it on the rear end. They must really be pushing it quite a bit today. And as you say, that is another position lost because of it. Yoksu needs to look in the mirrors as well now, because Oliver Bohlin is certainly coming for him. Bohlin was able to hold off Rosefist and now is pulling away from that driver. They're closing back up into the battle up ahead. Sundström, though, having a solid solid lead in that battle as it stands. We go back to the lead of the race, though, as Jon Frisk, we lost that lead. It went over a second, and now he's coming back at Dan Holmer.
Yeah, surprised, very surprised actually, because with all respect to Frisk, I didn't think he was as quick as Holmer, nowhere near around this racetrack. Frisk finished 15th in that first race, Holmer in 10th, or 11th, sorry. So I guess there's not that much difference in them really, but yeah, Holmer was a bit higher up than that, but yeah, he's been reeled back in again. But both of them have got to almost have a bit of an alliance for a moment, because Marcus Byfeld is right in behind. Frisk will want to get ahead of Holmer quite quickly so that Byfeld doesn't get to him first, but I think it's already too late for that. Now it's time, I think, to knuckle down for these two and try and hold off Byfeld for as long as they possibly can.
Yes, look at Byfeld's different line there through T7. Is that where he gains a second a lap, though, Ewan? That is the important question.
Sorry? What?
I was sarcastically saying, is that where he gains a second a lap? Is that the reason why he's got a pole position? I guess not, though. Look at the run he's got through the S's. That's where we've seen him making the overtakes. I think he's just way more calm through that sequence of corners, able to carry more minimum speed, and then, of course, you get the benefit of that down the straight after that as well. But he's still sat there in 3rd place. He's slowly worked his way up. It has taken him a little bit longer than Ewan O'Leary was thinking. What are we now, 17 minutes or so into the race, so not quite the 8 minutes, over double in fact, but I think it's not going to be too long. I thought it was going to be 15 therefore, so it has been a bit harder this race.
It has, perhaps the hardest of the season. So I misheard you when you were talking about turn 7 there. I was very confused.
Yeah, Altawil, we'll just touch on quickly before we forget. Number 2, he's been very good. He was up in the top 10 of the previous race, but he's got a meatball. So he's dropping down. He must have had a big bit of contact somewhere. But look at this from Byfeld. We'll get to that in a second, because on the screen, Byfeld surely to the inside, or maybe the outside, his favourite line recently. No, he's actually being rather conservative at that point. He's going to get the run here and then probably try and do it down into the final corner.
Yeah. Indeed, as we have a quick look back before that happens at Altawil. Whoa! Off the turn-in, and have a look at the bodywork here. The Ferraris do fall apart very quickly. Have a look at this. Yeah, bang. Oh, no, nothing falls off. There you go. Should have said
what were you waiting for?
I was waiting for... Oh, no, it's fine. I was waiting for the whole car to disintegrate, because it does sometimes happen like that, the Ferrari. But anyway, it didn't. Here comes Byfeld. He's surely past Frisk here, and that was a bit easier than Frisk would have been hoping. Even if you're sure that Byfeld is going to overtake you in this race, you want to put a decent account of yourself. You want to put up a good fight. Fortunately, Frisk rather handed that to him by going wide at the final corner.
Yeah, not ideal, but this is where, as much as Byfeld is fast on the one-lap pace, he's also consistent. And over the course, especially of a 45-minute race, if a driver, such as Frisk there, you lose a second here, you lose a second there, that can easily be 10 seconds extra. Not just your lap speed slower over the race, but just your mistakes. So that's where Byfeld gains his time as well. And that is just an example how consistent he's been to just slowly pick drivers off one by one. 25 minutes remain before we crown Marcus Byfeld champion. Lindhoff is not here. He needed maximum scores today and at Suzuka in a couple of weeks to really have any chance of stopping Byfeld, but it looks like it is going to be Byfeld. Lindhoff, unfortunately, not taking part in this second race. He came second. He was on the podium in the sprint race, but then did not make the grid for this feature race. And therefore, by default, Even if he was to win both of the races in Suzuka, it is going to be Marcus Byfeldt's championship. We all saw this coming, but he needs to finish it off here on the track and make sure he still does get those points for today at least. And let's see if he's able to chase down Holmer, who's having probably his best race of the season so far.
Yeah, you'd probably say so. Is this enough to turn the tide of momentum, which has very much swung away from him in the battle for third in the championship? Well, he might need some help with Sundström dropping places, but there is quite a gap between them at the moment. By the way, I just went back and looked at last race to remind myself from Brands Hatch. Byfeldt, just before we hit the 9-minute mark, past Gunnarsson for the lead in that race. So my prediction didn't come out of complete fantasy. It was indeed only a minute shorter than last time. But this is putting up more of a fight from the guys around this time round, which is good. Lucas Olsen, meantime, heads wildly down the inside of Marcus Stiller, who again is being crashed into this season.
I just had like the 10-pin bowling, like Skittles sound in my head as that was happening, barreling over the apex there and taking out his rival. Not ideal. Let's see if it's a bit cleaner in this battle for the lead. Byfeldt is working his way through T8 here, through T9, in towards the very fast T10. He's not close enough though this time. It takes quite a bit more speed there, actually. Completely different racing lines between the pair. Holmer holding firm though for now in that 79 Sim Race Sweden machine. He has reason to, because this is also Sim Race Sweden in the Constructors' Championship against nearly on pace. It's his teammate Lindhoff who's fighting against Byfeldt. Multiple reasons why he would want to finish in first position here, beyond just his personal aspirations for the season as well. And he's doing a good job. But look at Byfeldt going all over. He's going left, he's going right, trying to find a position to force Holmer into a mistake.
Yeah, indeed. And he will, the advantage that he's got at this stage in the season as well is the flow of confidence and the knowledge that there may well be a mistake coming, or at least an opportunity, an opening for him to actually make a proper pass, because there's still half of this race remaining. And given the way this has gone so far, he's never really got to this stage, but he must have that confidence, the residual confidence of the previous weeks of winning. He's not going to go for it in towards turn 7, though he does seem to be very quick through here, mostly by not paying any attention to that white line, which is rather being drove over by everybody. I think he could maybe make a bit better use of that Byfeldt, by looking to make the pass there, but not this time. And we're into the second half of the race now. He's still challenging, not in the race lead.
I guess one of the next question comes is, when do they start thinking about their pit stop? But we do have a little while, to be honest. It will be closer beyond the 14-minute mark, I would assume. That's half an hour into the race. But Byfeldt, the good thing is, we know he's been better on fuel, but he could just sit there nicely as it stands. He's still getting tiny slip fuels down the front, down the back straight. He can sit there and wait for his opportunity, save the fuel as well. As we also see the side-by-side, we get the onboard of Christopher Giros. You've got Filikovsky, Svensson. This is the battle basically for P4. It's actually raging on, because there's a 3-car battle there as it stands.
Yeah, it is. Thankfully, so far, both in the sprint race and indeed the feature race so far, there's been just so many of these groups to watch. Bottom of your screen, side by side over the top of the hill into the carousel. At the top of your screen, Holmer goes wide down the carousel, and Marcus Byfeldt leads this race. Although he's only got his nose in front at the moment, Holmer's still with an overlap, but he breaks early. He lets Byfeldt go. I guess he sees with more than 20 minutes to go that he's never going to hold on to the race lead for that period of time, and, well, that's rather pessimistic, but some would say maybe realistic about what's to come in this race.
Yes, that was coming. And almost exactly 24 minutes into this race, Marcus Byfeldt gets to the front just 3 times longer than Ewan O'Leary's prediction. But that nevertheless is just showing Byfeldt's talent, able to get through from P15 on this reverse grid race. And I'm sure we're not going to see much of him so far this race, because we are going to be seeing him drive off into the distance And a pit stop still to come though in about 5 minutes time. So we'll keep on an eye on that, but also an eye on Christopher Giros as he tries to work his way up into 4th position. He's having a solid day here. Unfortunately, contact with his teammate Christopher Crook earlier did take his teammate out of the race, but this is still a solid race that is turning out to be. He's only done 4 of the rounds so far, so he's quite a bit down in the championship, 28th position, as he's missing out on 4 races worth of points. Can he do anything here on the 212 machine? Coming through T6 right now is Filikovsky onto the back straight. No, he can't get close enough to be honest, but he actually, I think, gets a little bit of a run there. Oh, yes, he was on the power early. I noticed that too early as he spins up the wheels on the exit.
So I've seen that so many times in this race tonight. As you rightly predicted, the temperature's not that different to race 1, although the track temperature has ballooned a bit. We're now in the high 90s Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius, but we were in the high 20s in the previous race Celsius, so it's not that much of a difference. And we've seen it in both races, getting on the power, even not out of particularly slow speed corners, coming out the carousel, which is definitely medium speed. So much sliding. In cars that have traction control, you really don't see that very often, but I'll say I'm enjoying watching it. It shows that these guys are absolutely pushing on the very limit, and it is that reminder once again that traction control does not mean you can slam the throttle whenever you want and you can get away with it. These cars do take more skill than that.
Let's see what Bohlin is doing. He's getting out of the way. Has that just triggered him? Yeah, it might just trigger it because he went slow. An incident there, but nothing to really see. And yeah, I think you're right. Sometimes when we see the assists on these cars, I think it dulls them down and makes them easier to drive. Or obviously, it does make them easier to drive. I mean, it makes them also from a spectacle. It makes them too easy. They're too planted. I am enjoying this. I mean, these are fast, high downforce cars, to be honest. They just get dulled down, but the fact that we're seeing a bit more raw, we're not seeing the drivers have it easy, is very, very entertaining. And also when we get to Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time, flying through the S's there, trying to get on the power side, the triangle at the end of the lap, that is going to be quite exciting as well. But that is for 2 weeks' time, where it will be a showcase of Marcus Beifeld. And his crown has a very expensive lawnmower in the background from Giros.
Yep, just trimming the grass, what's remaining of it, on the outside of this racetrack, coming through the S's there. Surprised we haven't seen more stuff through the S's actually tonight. It's a very difficult section of corners, but these guys not making it look like that. Marcus Stiller goes for a spin on his own, again proving the point we were just making. Coming out of turn number 2 there. So he drops down further. Also struggling to find the words to describe Stiller's season, to be honest with you. 22nd place now in this race and still hasn't stopped yet. And yeah, there you go. A comedy of errors there.
I love that saying. And hopefully more drivers don't really get into that. As Svensson here, 4th place. It's been the same order for the last 5 laps or so that we've been following this battle from Filikovsky behind, then Giros. But Sundström has closed up the tiniest bit. I can just see him in the background as well. So that's Svensson's teammate. He needs to be careful not to bring him back into it, make it a 4-car battle inside the final 15 minutes. But pit stops are coming. We've already got a few drivers there. And as we get over the half an hour mark into this race, in the next lap or 2, I'm sure we'll see a few more drivers pop down pit road. It's a lot of acceleration zones around here as such, so obviously burns the fuel, but then we do have these S's section where you can really flow it, so those are generally a bit better for fuel. So I'm not actually too sure if this is going to be a really high consuming track. That's a big slide there from Svensson. Up the inside is going to be from Filikovsky, and that is him really pushing the limit. No pit stop this time around. Filikovsky has the inside line for the hairpin, way deep from Svensson, and that's actually going to open up the door to Giros to have a run up in turn 2.
Yeah, Giros is going to get close now for a top 5 position, but that was pretty good car control from Svensson to make sure he didn't go in the wall, really. He missed the turning point there by quite some distance. Well, in terms of metres it wasn't, but in terms of distance to the apex it certainly was. And he, as I say, did well to keep it out the wall. Filikovsky, though, almost could not go through and is now 4th. Geros couldn't follow through as well, though. Sundström has caught up behind, though, as a result of all this. And, well, that wasn't by design, clearly, because even though Svensson and Sundström are teammates, it doesn't really help nearly on pace. Although Geros now goes through, Sundström might well follow them. Svensson maybe lets his tyres cool down for a moment.
Yeah, I think Svensson was just pushing a little bit harder than he would have wanted to keep these guys behind. And now the cracks are starting to show. Don't hold up your teammate in this grand scheme of things, to be honest. Let Sundström go. He's third place in the championship. But no, he's fighting him around the outside. Fair play if he thinks he's got the speed. Well, Sundström, realistically for the team, should be let go. And I think he's going to do that now. So not the best half a lap or so, really a full lap there from Svensson. Made one mistake and allowed Filikowski through, and then another for Geros, and then third, I guess you'd say, for Sundström as well. So less than 15 minutes to go. Pit stops will be coming. Oh, there's Ullman getting very slow in T10. Does manage in the end to get out of the way for those guys, but it looks like we are going further than the half an hour mark, so fuel numbers are good at this track.
Yeah, and you'd expect that. I mean, the average speed round here fairly low, but it is, you know, relatively flowing. It's not completely stop-start all the time. There are some big stops and big acceleration zones and so on. But so far this season, we've never really seen them get particularly close to making it without a fuel stop at all. The fuel limit has been imposed quite well, really, this season to ensure quite a wide pit window, but also making sure there is a stop through every venue we've gone to this season, and there have been some varying ones. As Yok Shu comes in from the top 10, 10 seconds is the time. That's fair. That's a fair amount of fuel. So I would say, yeah, that means probably not too much longer until everybody else has to come in, and they'll be running out, and pit lane is getting a bit busier.
Yeah, so we're seeing the likes of 10, 11, 12-second stops from these guys. Byford is often well under 10, you know, sort of 8 or 9 seconds. So, of course, the longer you go, you have the benefit now of being on lower fuel, basically qualifying fuel, and then you have a shorter pit stop as well. So it's double good the longer that you go. That's why we're seeing these drivers try and stretch. And once again, Holmer comes in, which means Byfeld is going longer than other, you know, leaders at the front there. That is just a remarkable thing. The only issue is he's always the only one, as Lucas Olsen gets a black flag. Byfeld's always the only one in the McLaren, and he was though last time in the last GT3 series a year ago as well. He was basically the only, or one of the only drivers in the McLaren, at least at the front. So it was hard to get a judge whether that is him or the car. But considering everyone else comes in, I doubt the McLaren is going to be that much better, so it probably is just him really controlling that fuel number well.
Sundström has also gone with him, but yeah, your point stands, because this has been going on all through the season. As Holmer wins the race off pit lane, as it were. Frisch next, then Filikowski, then Geros, then Svensson. Oh dear, that's tight. It's not a wide pit exit. Those two side by side, and Rosqvist had to give up. Svensson's pit stop must have been a little bit longer. Rosqvist there was side by side with him on the way out, but had to give in. That pit exit is way too narrow for two massive GT. I mean, you couldn't get two bigger GT3s, and they were never going to fit out the same pit entry. Oh, and no, he's gone! Rosqvist, overexcited, trying to get that 7th place, is gone for a spin.
He's 1.5 seconds quicker at the stop. Probably took a lap less fuel, trying to you know, push the number a little bit, try and have absolutely nothing spare at the end. It almost worked, but in the end, he's actually net lost because of that spin. So he's coming up through turn 3 here, and then on the exit, and he's quite far down. He was really spinning the wheels for a long time, floating that rear end, and in the end, he pirouetted perfectly to then go dead straight and get back on the track. Sundström went in the box, Ewan. Byfeld has stayed out again. Is going less than 10 minutes. This might even be like a 7-second stop at the end. This is very remarkable.
Yeah, but it's just the story of the season, isn't it? Byfeld, the most efficient driver in terms of fuel, maybe being assisted by the McLaren, but Byfeld is obviously playing a role with it as well. And he's also the fastest driver by some way. Sundström, 8.8 seconds in the box. Filikowski's going to get through, is he? Staying in front. There he goes, right round the outside. And Geros will not get ahead, or will he? Oh, he's going to try. He's going to try in towards turn 2. I thought he would have to yield there, but Sundström wasn't quite quick enough to get in front of Garros initially. Now he is, though, on the inside of turn 3. Garros is going to try and come back again in towards 4, but no. Sundström's into the top 5. Again, it's so much harder work for all these other guys than it is for Bijlstra, who was coming through these guys earlier. Sundström only now getting the top 5.
Interesting. I thought Sundström would gain more. I mean, he was over a second and a half less in the pit stop than Garros, but I don't think on the track it turned out to be that much. But there's a big mistake ahead. So the two Aston Martins, Filikowski, now Sundström, battling there as your leader comes in. 9 minutes to go from Bijlstra. He is going to have such a short stop here. I can't wait for this to be a 7-second stop for him, because he needs so little fuel to get to the end. I mean, he could probably use less fuel, so therefore he needs even less. And is it going to be even faster than that? We'll have to certainly find out, as that is Dan Holmer, currently P2. Is that a back marker car? That is not ideal. Yeah, not ideal situation. Getting lost some time there. It's going to be over 6 seconds. In the end for Bijlstra, it's actually 8.7. So he didn't go crazy with fuel numbers. He just took exactly what he needed to get to the end.
Well, and a bit more, I would suggest, because there's only 8 minutes left. Normally, you take 40 seconds of fuel, 42 seconds maybe, absolutely brimming it for an hour. So, yeah, I think he's rather been cautious there. But it doesn't matter when you've got such a large lead. He is 5.5 seconds in front of Holmer, who, as you say, was caught up with Mokastilla there. And Jock Frisk, who's still on the podium. What a great podium it would be, though, for Frisk. He was 15th in the first race of the day. Has held on very nicely. Filikowski has done a very good job as well. He finished in 13th in that first race, and he's on course for a top 5 as well, although Sundström is challenging him for that 5th position.
Yeah, Jock Frisk, he was in a good position, basically, but made that mistake in that first race. But Sundström is fighting hard here to work his way through. Managed to get that one done up into P4, just showing you how not easy it is around this. That's going to open up the door for Garros. The inside of turn 10. He's thinking about it. He is thinking about it. He's going for it down the inside, because that's going to make, obviously, Filikowski run wide. But look at the chop there to the inside to try and come back. Have the inside line for the hairpin. Garros is going to go all the way around the outside. He's fighting because he knows he's got an opportunity, but couldn't get the power. In the end, he's going to have to back out into 6th place, where he's been for a long time now. Since we followed him about half an hour ago, he's always been in 6th place. Yeah,
he was demoted there, or told to stay there by Sundström earlier, and he was coming out the pit lane earlier on. Garros trying to break into the top 5, though, and surely in a moment he's going to have a chance to do it. So Filikowski not as quick as Garros, at least as far as qualifying in race 1 is to be believed. And surely Garros will therefore be able to make his way through at some point, but it could be a difficult pass. Could be a very difficult pass for him to make as they come through the carousel. A little bit of a drift wide from Filikowski. Try and bring it back for the apex late on, and actually Garros goes wide through the middle there through the carousel. So 6 minutes to go, and you just have to be careful about running out of time to make this pass.
And that seems to be one of the hardest corners on the track today, is T6. I think it's because halfway through the corner you think, oh yeah, I'm good. So you get on the power, but then maybe because of that compression or maybe something to do with the camber of the road, but it always just pinches up right at the exit there. And if you go too early, then you get too tight on the exit, and it really hinders your exit. So you've got to be very, very patient through that corner. Try and carry the speed without going on the throttle too much, because that just changes your angle too much and tightening up the exit. 5.5 minutes to go. Bijlstra leads by 7 seconds. That is incredible. It took him a while to get to the lead. Now he's comfortably there. Holmer 7 seconds behind. Actually looks somewhat good for that. In terms of the last lap pace, he's massively faster than Jock Frisk. Although Frisk did have a little bit of a wiggle, I believe, because he's way slower than anyone else by over half a second. Almost a second to the cars around him. So hopefully that was just one mistake from Frisk, but dropping back. Sundström will be trying to get 3rd place like he is in the championship standings.
Yeah, indeed. We're starting to get to the stage of the season now. It has been a long season where I don't think there's too many surprises in that anybody's in somewhere in the championship where they don't deserve to be or whatever, whether that be at the top end or further towards the bottom. It's all filtered itself out now. This is race 14, don't forget. I know 2 of them are dropped, but even so, that's a pretty long season. It started at the end of January, and the finale in just 2 weeks' time at what is quite an iconic place to have a championship finale, Suzuka. Not necessarily in recent years, but certainly in history. But we're not really going to get a historic finale. We might get Marcus Beifeld underlining his dominance again, but he has rather been doing that since last winter. So that's just going to be a continuation. We'll see again. There'll be one more chance to see if somebody can beat him in this second race for the first time since early February. But based on tonight's evidence, not looking very easy, not looking very likely either.
Yeah, there's a Hall of Fame. There's a Hall of Fame Discord channel. Sorry, I forgot what I'm talking about. There's a channel in Discord for the league. That's what I'm trying to say. I am a big granddad moment, and it's so funny when you see, last round Porsche Cup Marcus Beifeld. Before that, GT3's Marcus Beifeld. Then to be fair, we did have Edwin Forsland in the IndyCar series, but I believe Beifeld didn't compete in that season. So take that as you will. The season before that in the Formula 4s was Marcus Beifeld. The one before that was also the Formula 4s. Ericsson did win, but Beifeld joined late in the championship. If he came to that first round of the championship, he definitely would have won last season. And he's basically going to add 4 out of the last 5. Svensson goes for a spin again. He's been pushing that car very much so. He wanted a podium today, but he's going to be way down and just scraping the top 10 finish at the end.
Yeah, indeed. And I don't know whether he'll be pleased with that or not, really, given the trials and tribulations of today. But I think so. Svensson, it's another nearly on pace driver inside the top 10 here to go along with Sundström and Beifeld, but could have been a little bit more. As we have a look at the replay over the top of the hill at the carousel, he's a little bit late on the brakes just as he's trying to bring it back to the apex. Well, there may have been contact, actually. I thought he was going to lose it having gone wide there, but maybe, well, there was certainly contact at the end. Shu has not got a front bumper anymore, and Oliver Bohlin had to take avoiding action in the background. But was it contact that instigated the spin? Maybe.
Wow, there was definitely contact there, because when they had the initial wiggle, the front bumper had already gone for Jock Shu. I am surprised at the number of drivers, by the way, who are going for a move there. Let's see this first. Giros gets through on Filikovsky because he's run wide down at T4, which means he doesn't have to get through at T6. But yeah, this one you see is downhill sort of in your favour, and then right at the middle there, it just tightens up a little bit before you get on the exit. And I think that place is where we've seen a lot of drivers have their problems. But T6 is, in my opinion, is not a place to overtake. But we've seen a lot of drivers try that and drive their way down the inside today.
Yes, we have. And I've been impressed by the ambition of these drivers actually today, because what you could have seen, I think, is a set of drivers sort of sitting around and thinking, well, it's quite hard to overtake around here, so I might not try. And they have definitely tried, sometimes to their detriment in some cases, but they have absolutely given it a go to make the passes tonight at what is otherwise a very difficult circuit to do it at. And I think we've got to commend them for that. They've put on a very good show at what could have been a bit of a dry race with the amount of overtakes, but it certainly hasn't been a lot of drama and been a lot of fun these 2 races, but only one winner once again.
Yeah, I was just laughing there at the headlights being flashed for the back markers to get out of the way, but 30 seconds remain, so it should just be the final lap here for Marcus Beifeld. And not only is this going to be a race win, but it's going to be the championship decided as well. Even if Lindhoff is going to get the maximum amount of points, he's not going to be able to overcome Beifeld in Suzuka. So Sonoma, with 1 round to go, is going to be the place for Marcus Beifeld. It's going to be 4 out of the last 5 road course championships. And to be honest, it's the last 4 that he's contested as well. He's going for the Oval Series title next week, but in the road course, it has been total dominance. How many races is he going to win this season? 16 in total. It is going to be 12 race victories after this one. Can he get 2 more in Suzuka? We'll have to find out. But the Area 81 Grand Prix sprint race went to Byfeld, and now the feature race as well. And as he comes out the final corner, Marcus Byfeld is going to confirm himself as your series champion for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan Road Course Series in 2026. Marcus Byfeld is your champion once again.
Yeah, he is by far the best road course driver that we've had in this series down the years, and he has once again underlined his dominance. As you say, win number 12 of the season, and he could go 14 out of 16 after the races in 2 weeks' time. Yorkshire is just about going to limp home with 7th here, just in front of Bohlin. Svensson in the background will get that top 10 even after a late spin, but there are battles to the line. Jonas Gunnarsson, who's been very quiet tonight, trying to get past Johan Oberg for a final place to the line here. Is he quite going to get there? No is the answer, but he wasn't too far away. Oberg hangs on, and that was a nice drive from him. But yeah, Gunnarsson uncharacteristically quiet tonight. Ends up out the top 10 there.
Yeah, he's not always in the battle, unfortunately, in the road course series compared to the ovals. But I love that he still shows up, gives it his best. But he actually had a bit of an issue on the opening lap, if I remember rightly, which has sort of caused him to be a little bit further behind than where he would have wanted. I've seen the final drivers finish, but that is Sonoma wrapped up. I wasn't sure what to expect, but the Area 81 Grand Prix was a very entertaining one indeed, and a lot more overtakes than we were expecting. Here is your confirmation of the results. Marcus Byfeld getting the fastest lap as well, so an absolute complete maximum amount of points today. Byfeld gets the win, with Holmer and Frisk rounding out your podium. Sundström, Giros, Filikowski, Shu, Wallin, Svensson and Oberg rounding out the top 10. Gunnarsson, Forsberg, Rosvis, Motin, Carlson, the top 15. Ulrichsen, Canel, Schott, Hagman, and Lodin, the top 20. Then the final driver on the lead lap, Norberg. Then we've got Grant, Stiller, Magnussen, Broström, your drivers are 1 lap down before Backman, Olsen, Ullman. He had some problems today, didn't he? Dropped down 9 laps in the end. Alterwill there, and Kenneth Tiert. Then Wallingston, Crook, Linus Broström and Dahlström. So Linus Broström not having the day he would have wanted. That would definitely count as one of his drop rounds. Let's see who's going to join us in the interview booth, though. We'll grab in Mikkel Sundström, who we have spoken to a few times this season. Mikkel, you're looking really good there for 3rd place in the championship. Unfortunately, not a podium in that feature race. You're just a 2nd behind Jokke Frisk at the end. Do you think there's anything you could have done to chase him down in those last couple of laps?
Yeah, probably. I think I got stuck a bit behind Mr. Sjö and his AMG for quite a while, and that slowed me up. Slowed me down way too much, I think.
Yeah, it was a solid day for you overall, to be honest. You were once again on the 2nd row in qualifying, which has become your renowned position so far this season. How did you find it out there at Sonoma? It's a very tricky circuit. We saw a lot of drivers spinning today.
Yeah, it's really tricky. Aston really doesn't like all these off-camber, weird, bumpy turns. It's a pretty fun track to drive, but it's super tricky. So I don't doubt there was a lot of spinning going on. I almost did so myself quite a few times.
Yeah, how did you find the overtaking the battles? There isn't really a long straight here. There's a couple of medium length ones. So you really had to try and find a different area of the track to get past.
Yeah, the 2nd race was really fun. It was kind of, you had to send it everywhere and then figure out what worked. And yeah, it was really tricky. Like, there's basically only 2, 3 maybe overtaking spots. But anything can be an overtaking spot if you're creative enough, I guess.
It looks like it's going to be very close with you and Dan Holmer for 3rd place in the championship coming into the final round at Suzuka. Do you think, of course, he just beat you now in the feature race here. Do you think you can get him back in Suzuka and make sure you wrap up that 3rd place in the championship?
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't really looked at what happens with the 2nd drop round. I think there's 2. But yeah, we'll see. I don't have a lot of time to practice these days, so it's gonna be join and pray, see what happens. Hope to do well enough.
Yeah, well, good luck, and well done on a decent race today, and we'll speak to you next time in Suzuka.
thank you very much.
All right, and let's bring in Joachim Frisk here, the number 25, who was able to get on the podium there for this feature race at Sonoma. And Joachim, definitely a solid race for you. I mean, let's first start with that first race. You were looking really, really good until that spin. You must have been feeling the pace today. You look fast.
Yeah, I felt fast today, and actually in the first race, my teammate handed me the top spot in the next race. We switched position right in the last corner there, so big thanks to the team for this one. And I felt like I had pretty good pace the whole second race, trying to latch on to Holmer after he got past me, but stayed quite consistent and fast, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, looks good for you. I mean, you're having you're pretty strong so far this season in general. I believe this is only going to be your second top 5 finish though, which is a bit interesting because you're definitely a very fast driver. Do you think there's anything you can improve maybe on your consistency to battle maybe even for the top 5 when we go to the next season?
Yeah, well, it's all about putting in the time in practice, of course, and this season, at least in the start, I put in quite a lot of time to get the pace up, and definitely I've been stepping it up a level this season, so looking forward to next season, and I hope we can improve, and maybe we have a surprise new teammate as well, so we will be hoping to fight for the top positions.
Well, we certainly look forward to that. Nice to speak to you, and good luck for Suzuka in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, well, that's rounds up the Area 81 Grand Prix here from Sonoma, where we've crowned Marcus Byfeld as the champion for the 4th time in this great league. It's the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's road course series for 2026. Marcus Byfeld rounds out the championship, but it is not done yet. We have another race in 2 weeks' time. The final race of the season will be Suzuka. That's going to be a whole load of fun as well when we get there. There's going to be all the drivers fighting for their final positions at the Hexagon Nation Grand Prix. But don't forget, next week we go back to the Oval Series race. We have Talladega, the penultimate race of the season, the Superior 369. It's going to be a whole load of bump drafting going on there for the drivers to position themselves to obviously fight for their positions at the final race in Homestead. But it's been myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Ramiro on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, as we leave you with pictures of Marcus Byfeld leading the field as he done all season and as he will do into the sunset. But we thank you for watching, and until next week at Talladega, we wish you a very warm goodbye.